Hi, hi, hi. Here we are again. It is 3 o'clock on Thursday, and that means here in Paris time, it's time for Chat with Cat. So here we are showing up today live. It's been a bit of a frantic week, to be honest. I've been working with a wonderful, amazing, open, and just gorgeously magical group of individuals who are undertaking my BS Alchemy adventure this week. So it's been amazing, to be honest, to actually sort of be in alignment with all of that and all of these amazing people. And while I've been working through this, obviously it's been bringing up questions for me, because one of the things that I do is, obviously, as a voice channel to the crew, I have all of this information that comes through me that I speak out into the world. And then from time to time, like I have the opportunity to do this week with the BS Alchemy adventure, I have this opportunity to let it come through me in the first instance when I'm creating it. But then I get to actually do it as a human, listening to the words as well as being the channel for the words. So it's actually really good for me to go back and do these things. And the remembering that the BS Alchemy adventure is the steps that my spirit collective, my energy collective, the crew have taken me through over the years of understanding myself more deeply, so that I can become the channel that I am today, so that I can be the voice and I can be the messenger and I can be the me that's sitting here now doing this chat with you. And one of the things that's triggered with me this week, as well as a couple of conversations, is this point where we remember things, we have experiences out in the world, we have a disagreement or something happens in the world, and then we come away from it and we spend the next hour, day, week, lifetime, depending how intensely the emotion was in the moment. We repeat these things over and over in our head, and we have this ability to rewrite. And if only I'd found these words, and suddenly we think, oh, I should have said this, or I should have said that, or I wished I'd remembered to say this, or whatever it was. And we have this reality that we create for ourselves of, if only I'd said. And one of the things that I'd had sort of on a post-it note on my computer screen, because sometimes I download or I get little snippets of information, I think, oh, that's worth hanging on to. And one of them on my computer that I've had there for a really long time is what I wanted to say but didn't. And this process that I'm going through with the group in the BS Alchemy workshop is really discovering the versions of ourselves that we've created based on who we were and who we decided we were until a certain point. And this being triggered in this awareness of spending all this time in our heads going over, justifying or arguing with, or letting ourselves get really intertwined with something that's already been done and now we've got no control over anyway. Just this idea of how much we can lose ourselves in illusion of reality has been really fascinating for me to just sort of poke into a little bit more this week. That's really what we're doing. That is like the crew's mission in this world, if you like, is to poke our reality, is to actually see where all of these pieces fit together and how we create our reality of who we believe we are in the world, based on not only just our past, but how we react in the future and how we are choosing to create and weave ourselves forward into the world. Hi, anybody that's here watching me. I can see a few people popping up. So hi, Becky. Hi, Vivian. Hi, Lizzie. Hi. Thank you very much for popping in live. So yeah, we're talking along this phrase of what I wanted to say but didn't. And I'm sure we've all had these moments where you've come away and you start repeating and you go, oh, wow, I've got this amazing thing in my head now. If only I'd have said it. If only I'd have had it then. But all of that, I think this comes back to being really aware of what is the reality of me? What is the reality of my now? What is the reality of who I am? What is my reality of me in this moment? I think this is the key piece. It's like, what is my reality of me in this moment? What am I choosing for me in this world right now? What am I choosing to be my navigation point? How am I choosing to take my next steps, my next breath, and what I'm going to say and what I'm going to do? What is my relationship to myself in my now? It's really fascinating when we get that granular in our awareness of everything being around us, being outside of us. And I was doing a live channeled session with a wonderful, amazing, powerful entrepreneur woman the other day. And the crew came through with this wonderful analogy, which was, if you are placed in a bath of beans and you're sitting in a bath of beans, does it make you beans? And you know, these wonderful, like, simple imageries of what the crew come through with when we're in these one-to-one conversations is magical. And we can translate that into pretty much every single conversation that we have in the world. And this moment of, let's just translate this, let's just bring this down into the moment of, you know, if somebody is saying something to us about ourselves, does it make us who we are? And years ago, I learned this ability to actually say, that is yours and this is mine. That is yours and this is mine. And we don't need to say it out loud, but it's a really powerful energetic tool to be able to actually stop and witness ourselves being reactive, witness ourselves being, you know, triggered by something, and to actually stop and take a breath and actually go, no, that is yours and this is mine. And the extension of that then is, what you think about me is not what I think about me. What you think about me is not what I think about me. What you think about me is not who I know myself to be. What you believe your truth is not my truth. And this whole thing, this whole thought thread that's come out has come through from this phrase of, you know, what I wanted to say but I didn't. And it's got me really thinking about how we get invested and have relationships with other people's reality of who we are, or other people's perceptions of who we are. And I think, you know, all of this time, if we catch ourselves going over this spiral of, oh, I wish I'd said that, or I wish I'd had this, we can take that as a recognition of, actually, I chose to get into a relationship with that reality of who I am, even though it's not who I believe myself to be. And I think this is a really powerful choice point, when we can actually look at, that is yours, this is mine. What you believe of me is not what I believe of me. That may be your truth, but it is not my truth. You know, and there's this moment where we recognize, actually, I don't even need to get into a relationship with that other person's belief. I don't even need to get into a defensive position. I don't even need to defend who I am against somebody else's illusion of who I am. Because that's what it is from outside of us. Somebody else's perception of who we are is an illusion until we make it part of ourselves, until we decide it's something we actually need to go to battle against, something we need to defend against, something we need to get into a relationship with, and create this little triangle of like, your validity of who you believe I am is as valid as who I believe I am, and therefore I'm going to try and justify myself against it. But how about we just stop and take a breath and come to this point where there is no need for me to get into relationship with this reality that is not mine. Because everything that we are creating in this world, this is what this awakening process is all about. This is what this enlightenment is all about right now. This is what the change of frequency is all about right now, is taking back our own power, taking back our own ability to know who we are, to know the truth of ourselves, to really shine a light on the light of who we are, and to make choices of how we want to bring ourselves into this world. And so if we can start to move through the world a little bit more and recognize when somebody else is triggering us because of they believe that I am a version of me that I don't believe I am. And we can actually go, oh, look at that, how interesting that is. Look how interesting that is. Look how interesting that is, that there's a person over there that has an entirely different perception of me than the truth of who I am. And that be enough. Because once we choose to go into battle against, or once we choose to go into a relationship with, we're actually in some way validating that as even having any consequence over who I believe that I am. Because it isn't who we are. It is a reflected version of what somebody else believes from their own perception and their own triggers and their own history and their own lineage and their own traumas of who they believe we are. But it's not who we know ourselves to be. So why should we spend any breath or any energy at all getting into choosing to be in a relationship with a misunderstanding or a misconception or an illusion of what somebody else thinks that I am? So if you have one of these moments where, you're dwelling on this, what I wanted to say but didn't, the going over the argument or going over the conflict or going over how something was left. How much energy, how much of your life and truth are you giving to that relationship of I am still connected to this illusionary version of what somebody else thinks I am? Because that's what we're doing. We're actually giving ourselves into a relationship with an illusion of something that is not our truth, is not who we know ourselves to be. And that's why this ability to actually say, that is yours, this is mine. In every single moment as we walk down the street, this practice of standing in our own truth, practice in this standing on our own self, our own knowing, our own being. We can do this in every single breath. We can do this in every single relationship. We can do this in every single interaction that we have. And then making the choices through our own self-compassion and our own self-knowing and our own self-love what am I actually going to give my life force? What am I going to give my energy to creating a relationship with? Because I don't want to choose to put myself in a relationship with an argument of an illusion of what somebody else thinks I am. It's interesting, isn't it? It's an interesting ponder. And all of these things all get woven together when we start working and understanding ourselves as a being of infinite potential and possibility. When we understand ourselves to be a spark of the divine, making itself real and witnessing itself in being human for this short human experience, we can start to play with life a little bit more. We can start to actually witness our weirdness. We can start to witness these strange things that we do. We can start to actually go, oh, look at me, look at what my human's doing right now. Isn't that really interesting? Look at what my human's getting triggered by. Look at what is going on around me. Look at what that choice is that I just made. Isn't that really interesting? And then we can start to let loosening happen in our belief of all of the illusion around us, all of these beliefs that we have to get tied into other people's nonsense, and we have to get tied into other people's versions of ourselves. And this is why this work on ourselves and this entire, teaching of Know Thyself, which is the most ancient knowledge and piece of wisdom that we can ever sort of grasp onto, is the knowing yourself. And the crew use this affirmation constantly of show me more of the moreness of me. And that's what I'm guided to, and that's what they guide every single person that comes into a one-to-one session with them through me. And how I coach people in one-to-one sessions as well is show me more of the moreness of me. And that is the magic of how we can start to move through this world when we're really paying attention to what am I choosing to have a relationship with right now. And if we can choose to not have a relationship with something that is an illusion based on what somebody else thinks of me, how much more peace are we going to find in this world? It's like holding on to your own power, and like there being even no reason to step into a conflict based upon what my truth is of who I am. Because I shine that into the world. You shine that into the world. We all shine that into the world. So let's start paying more attention to how am I being in this moment? How am I bringing my light in this moment? How am I bringing the moreness of me in this moment? How am I becoming more of the moreness of me in this moment? How am I enjoying life in this moment? How am I choosing to put myself in alignment with more of the joy and wonder of existence? How am I doing this in my breath right now? And when we start getting this granular and we start looking at these questions throughout our day, this need to get tied into conflict with anybody else's nonsense just really starts to fall away, because we recognize that that is not the version of I am that we're choosing or we're wanting to choose to be in every moment. So it really is a powerful sort of unweaving of this moment when we recognize I'm still dwelling on what somebody else said about me. I'm still dwelling, I'm still getting tied into, I'm still choosing to be in a relationship because I know, because I've got this what I wished I'd said but I didn't going on in my head. So if we're ever in that situation, separate it. Come into it and go, that is theirs and this is mine. That is theirs and this is mine, and what they say about me is theirs, and what my knowing of me is mine. So I hope that's been useful today, to just have a little ponder and a meander around that. So I think Lizzie's asked a question: how do we know who we are? Well, that's kind of a very simple but also complicated question at the same time, because we know who we are in every breath, because we are an experience of life in our own essence. But I think the easiest question to find out if we're reacting to what somebody else believes we are is to ask this question of, is that theirs or is that mine? And you'll know instinctively, no, it's theirs. It's not mine. And even in ourselves, sometimes we can ask that question of like, whose belief is this? Is it my belief? And you can immediately know, actually, no, that's my mum's voice or my dad's voice or my grandma's voice. You go, oh, wow, cool. So that is theirs and this is mine. But I think this is a simple practice, really, to go through every day and getting into this spiritual practice of, who am I today? Who am I today? Who am I today? And actually starting to listen to who am I today and know that truth, because the I amness that we are, that is our essence and is our spirit, always comes through. It is always there. And it is an essence. So it's like, you will always be able to say, who am I today? I am love. Or I am compassion. Or I am excitement. Or I am joy. Or I am connection. There will always be something that wants to be spoken through you. And then you can sort of grab onto that and go, well, that's interesting. Take another deviation off there. But this is the work that I do through not only my work with the crew, but my own work as a coach as well. And literally unpacking and unweaving and remembering the truth and the magic of who we are. And so we can recommit to that every single minute of every single day by choosing, like I said, what we are choosing to get into a relationship with, what we're choosing to allow ourselves to get into conflict with. Because if we can recognize that actually I'm choosing to get into a conflict with somebody else's perception of me, which isn't even the truth of me, why would we do that? Why would we choose to keep picking up that thread between the two realities and go to conflict with it? Why would we choose that? So here we can, in that moment, just see the ridiculousness of keeping going into choosing to have relationship with an illusion of what somebody else thinks that I am. So there's my little meander for today. I hope that that's been helpful. And if you would like to have a one-to-one session with me, or you would like to have a one-to-one channel session with the crew in combination with working with me as well, you can find all of the information about what I do and how you can book a session or a program of sessions to unfold and uncover more of the moreness of you and the remembering of the truth of who you are. You can find all of that information on my website, which is at www.uninvented.life. That's uninvented.life. And come on over and have a look, and you can send me a PM, or if you're on YouTube, put me a comment up or whatever it is, and let me know what you thought about today. Let me know what it's brought up with you. Because sometimes when we go into these ponderings about how we're weaving, how we're literally creating our reality, it can get uncomfortable. Because we're suddenly shining a light on something that we go, oh God, why am I doing that? And then that kind of just unravels a lot of things. So it's easy, but it's complicated at the same time. Our soul is simple. Our thinking is complicated. But anyway, if you would like to have more of a conversation with me in a one-to-one setting, all of the information is over on uninvented.life. And if not, I would love to see you again next Thursday for a chat with Cat, 3 p.m. Paris time, 2 p.m. UK time. And I think there is a time change this weekend. So we may be in a different time zone in America next week. So we'll have to have a check on that. Okay, huge love. It's been great to have a ramble and a ponder with you as usual. And I'll see you again next week.